Good day. So we are tasked to report about religious. So before we proceed, let us talk about first what is religion. Okay. So religion is a set of organized beliefs, practices, and systems that most often relate to the belief and worship of a controlling force, such as personal God, or another supernatural being. So ani mag-matter or ani mag-base kung unsa atong gituhuan. Religion often involves cultural beliefs, worldviews, texts, prophecies, revelations, and morals that have spiritual meaning to members of the particular faith. And it can encompass a range of practices, including sermons, rituals, prayer, meditation, holy places, symbols, trances, and feast. Okay, so while this is a basic definition, there are many different understandings of what religion is. So, daghan meaning daw sa religion. Okay, not all religions are centered on a belief in a god or gods or supernatural forces. So, nayuban nga, if we say dili God ang ilang center or ang gituhuan, if for example katong nahibawan ako is about kulto. So, di ba dili jud God ang ilang gituhuan ato no? So, example nga kanang dili God ang ilang gituhuan. So, types of religion. So, there are many different types of religions. Daghan kaayo. So, including the major world religious traditions that are widely known as, well, as much lesser known belief systems of smaller populations. Some of these represent monotheism. So, kanang monotheism, single God na siya ang gituhuan. So, meaning single, isa ra ka Ginoo. Mao na siya monotheism. If we say polytheism, okay, here, polytheism or the belief in many gods or multiple gods. So, kanang monotheism, polytheism rather, daghan na sila Ginoo. Multiple gods ang ilang tinuan. So, let's tackle about this world religious chart. So there are a lot of religions types. So we have Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Sikhism. So ang famous ang nahibawan dyan nato ani is Christianity because daghan man no Christians. Ato ani wala man siguro po tay kuan sa classmate na to walay Muslim, right? So most of us are Christians. So atong religion symbols is Christianity, Kuros. So, if we say Judaism, Jews na siya. Mga Jews. About 13 million followers. So, daghan jud kaayo. So, ang ilang gituhuan si Abraham Moses. So, dili ra ni mo tanan ha. Daghan pa type sa religions. Pero mao ra ni siya kanang common mga akong diri. So, we have Christianity. Ang gituan na is Jesus Christ. Kana siya is one God. Isa ra ka Ginoo. Si Islam, mo na siya sa mga Muslims. So, kana ang kuan nila is sacred nila is ang Quran. So, kisa may kuan nila na si Muhammad. And then, dito siya gasugod sa Middle East. So, we have also here Hinduism. Or ang mga members na nagitawag Hindus. So, the Aryans. So, kani siya, mga ning Hinduism everyday. Di ba ato ka every Sunday, mata Christians, no? So, we have also here Buddhism, or mga Buddhists. Everyday po na sila, mga J. So, si Siddhartha Gautama, sa Tripitaka, ilang sacred writings, o dito po nagauna sa Northeast Asia, sa India. So, may nga tag Buddhist. So, Sikhism. I'm not familiar into Sikhism. So, kani Sikhism, mga Sikhist ang mga followers or members. So, ang ilang ginawa ni si Guru Nanak. So, kani siya, everyday po ni sila, daily po ni sila mga J. So, na sila 5 virtues and dito gasugod sa Northwest India. So, for the next reporter, she will be tackled, or the rest of the reporter will tackle our chosen religion.
So we are tackled about religion. So there's a lot of religious group, and one of our chosen religion is the Protestant Reformation. So, what is Protestant Reformation? So, Protestant Reformation was a religious reform movement that swept through Europe in the 1500s. It resulted in the creation of the branch of Christianity called Protestantism. So a name used collectively to refer to the many religious groups that separated from the Roman Catholic Church due to differences in doctrine. So in the 1500s in Europe, the Protestant Reformation happened and changes religions a lot. It's led to creation of Protestantism, which includes different groups that separated from the Roman Catholic Church because they didn't agree on important beliefs. So disagreements about things like theology, who has authority, and ritual causes the formation of different Protestant groups, and this had a big impact on religion in Europe. So kaning protest reformation is branches ni siya sa Christianity. So it's called Protestantism. So kaning religious group separated siya from Roman Catholic due to differences in doctrine. Lahi sila mga doktrina sa Roman Catholic Church and religious groups sa Protestant Reformation. So the Protestant Reformation began in Wittenberg, so Germany, on October 31, 1517, when Martin Luther, a teacher and a monk, published a document he called Disputation on the Power of Indulgences, or 95 Theses. The document was a series of 95 ideas about Christianity that he invited people to debate with him. These ideas were controversial because they directly contradicted the Catholic churches. Martin Luther, a monk and a teacher, started the Protestant Reformation in Wittenberg, Germany on October 31, so 1570. So he wrote a document, ang iyang isuwat nga document is called Disputation on the Power of Indulgence, or a 95 Theses. So, with 95 ideas challenging part of the Catholic Church's beliefs, Luther wanted people to discuss these ideas with him. So his thoughts were controversial because they went against what the Catholic Church taught, and this even began a significant change in European religion history. So Luther's statements challenged the Catholic Church rule as intermediary between people and God. So especially when it came to the indulgence system, which in part allows people to purchase a certificate of pardons for the punishment of their sins. So Luther argued against the practice of buying or earning forgiveness, or believing instead that salvation is a gift of God gives to those who have faith. So Martin Luther disagreed with the Catholic Church. So kani si Martin Luther is disagreed siya sa unsay doktrina, unsay pagtulunan sa Catholic Church, which claimed to connect people to God. So he didn't like the indulgence system. So what's sa ganahi sa sistema sa indulgence? So where you could buy forgiveness with certificates. So o makabay ka o kanabitang forgiveness with certificates. Luther argued that forgiveness shouldn't be bought. So ang forgiveness mangayo pa sa ilo dito na mapalit. So instead, God freely gives salvation to those who have faith. So he stressed the importance of spiritual redemption rather than treating it like a transaction. The continuation report about the Protestant Reformation will be tackled to the next report.
So, good day everyone. I am Diana Mar Castilla and my discussion is a continuation about Protestant Reformation. So, Luther's objections to the indulgence system paved the way for other challenges to the Catholic doctrine throughout Europe. For example, John Calvin in France and Huldrych Zwingli in Switzerland proposed new ideas about the practice of Holy Communion, and a group called Anabaptists rejected the idea that infants should be baptized in favor of the notion that baptism was reserved for adult Christians. Martin Luther's 95 Theses, released in 1517, marked the beginning of the Protestant Reformation, a religious movement that challenged the Catholic Church authority and practices. At the core of Luther's objections was the sale of indulgences, which were believed by the Church to lessen the punishment for sins in purgatory. Luther vehemently argued that salvation was attained through faith alone, not through the purchase of indulgences. So, Luther's objections resonated widely across Europe, and his actions inspired other reformers to question and challenge various aspects of Roman Catholic doctrine. There are two notable examples include, first, John Calvin in France. So Calvin, a French theologian, developed a new understanding of Christianity, emphasizing predestination, the belief that God chooses who will be saved regardless of their actions. He also rejected the Catholic concept of transubstantiation, which asserts that the bread and wine of communion literally become the body and blood of Christ. Second is Huldrych Zwingli in Switzerland. Zwingli, a Swiss reformer, shared Luther's objections to indulgences and challenged the Roman Catholic Church hierarchical structure. He believed that the Bible should be the sole source of authority in Christianity and promote a simpler form of worship, stripping away many of the rituals and traditions of the Catholic Church. Furthermore, a group called Anabaptists emerged, advocating for a radical departure from Catholic practices. They rejected infant baptism, believing that baptism should be a conscious decision made by adults. Anabaptists also emphasized the importance of community and separation from the world, leading to persecution from both Roman Catholic and Protestant authorities. These examples demonstrate how Luther's objections to the indulgence system opened the door for a broader movement of reform within Christianity, leading to the emergence of diverse Protestant denominations and a significant transformation of the religious landscape of Europe. And next, broadly speaking, most of the challenges to the Catholic Church revolve around the notion that individual believers should be less dependent on the Roman Catholic Church and its pope and priests for spiritual guidance and salvation. Instead, Protestants believe people should be independent in their relationship with God, taking personal responsibility for their faith and referring directly to the Bible, the Christian holy book for spiritual wisdom. So, the statement highlights the core difference between the Roman Catholic Church and Protestant denominations. At the heart of the Protestant Reformation was the belief that individuals should have a direct and personal relationship with God without the need for intermediaries like priests or the Pope. Protestants emphasize the authority of the Bible as the sole guide for faith and salvation, rather than relying on church teachings and traditions. This emphasis on individual interpretation and responsibility led to a more decentralized form of Christianity where each believer could forge their own path to salvation. Protestant reform in England began with Henry VIII in 1534 because the Pope would not grant him a marriage annulment. Subsequently, King Henry rejected the Pope's authority, instead creating and assuming authority over the Church of England, a sort of hybrid church that combined some Roman Catholic doctrine and some Protestant ideals. Over the next 20 years, there was religious turbulence in England as Queen Mary 1553 to 1558 reinstated Catholicism in England while persecuting and exiling Protestants, only to have Queen Elizabeth I and her parliament attempt to lead the country back toward Protestantism during her reign in 1558 to 1603. So, King Henry VIII's desire for an annulment from his wife, Catherine of Aragon, triggered the Protestant Reformation in England. When Pope Clement VII refused to grant the annulment, Henry broke with the Catholic Church and established himself as the head of the Church of England, a hybrid church with both Catholic and Protestant elements. After Henry's death, England's religious landscape continued to fluctuate between Catholicism and Protestantism under Queen Mary and Queen Elizabeth I.
Some English citizens did not believe Queen Elizabeth's efforts to restore England to Protestantism went far enough. These citizens fell into two groups, both labeled Puritans by their opponents. The first group, known as Separatists, believed that the Church of England was so corrupt that their only choice was to leave England and separate from the church and start anew. They called this the English Separate Church. So separates are also known as saints and strangers. They are called brown separates as giving the honor to their preacher, Robert Brown from the Tollerstorps in Lancashire, who believe in leaving the established church. Their purpose is to govern or have control themselves and be independent and make their own decisions. Around 1607, some of the separatists tried to start the new lives they imagined in Holland or in the Netherlands. Unfortunately, the endeavor failed due to poverty and the sense that the children were assimilating too much into Dutch culture that so many separates returned to England. Although they had religious freedom, life in the Netherlands was not easy. The separates had to leave their homeland and friends to live in a foreign country without a clear idea of how they would support themselves. They remained for the next 11 to 12 years, and most of their work can be found in the clothes trades, while others were carpenters, tailors, and printers. Their lives required hard work, and even young children had to work. Some other children were tempted by the Dutch culture and left their families to become soldiers and sailors. Their parents feared that they would lose identity as English people, and they decided to move again. By 1620, members of the English Separates Church were ready for a second try at establishing a new life and church. Those who set sail up aboard the Mayflower for New England and eventually landed near Plymouth, Massachusetts, would in time become known as the Pilgrims. Pilgrims are known as the person who goes on a long journey, often with a religious or moral purpose, and especially to a foreign land. They became the popular term applied to all the Mayflower passengers and even to the other people arriving in Plymouth. The other group of English citizens who did not believe Queen Elizabeth's reform efforts went far enough were called non-separates. Over time, the term Puritans would become synonymous with the non-separatists. They did not seek to leave the Church of England, but they wanted only to reform it by eliminating the remnants of Catholicism that remain. But in terms of theology, most of them were Calvinists. That means that they adheres theological traditions and teachings of John Calvin and the Reformation era.
As a continuation, although the Puritans did not desire to separate from the Church of England, some of them are seen immigrating to New England as their best chance at true reform of the church and freedom to worship as they choose. And in 1630, a decade after the Pilgrims embarked on a similar journey for similar reasons, the first Puritans traveled to the New World and established the Massachusetts Bay Colony in Boston, Massachusetts. Though the separatists and non-separatists disagreed about whether to sever ties to the Church of England, both groups of early North American colonists shared a dissatisfaction with the church and a mindset that they were free to establish a church more in alignment with their spiritual views. Perhaps, predictably, this freedom to practice religion according to one's beliefs led to the creation of countless different churches, denominations, and doctrines in the colonies. Equally predictable throughout history, this diversity has led to disagreements. However, this diversity of religious thought has also become a core part of the identity of the United States. The Bill of Rights explicitly forbids establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Over 400 years in the making, these beliefs in personal empowerment and independence in religious matters, with its roots in the Protestant Reformation, has become an enduring part of the American mindset. But as of today, the United States are more open in religious matters. So, nanay freedom of religion dito sa Amerika karong panahon. Okay, and I guess that would be all. Thank you.